Hey guys, what's up? And today I'm back with another video, and this is going to be part 7 to What If Naruto was an older brother. And again, I'm recording this outside, so if you hear any disturbance, it's because I'm recording it outside. But, anyways, I won't really do much banter here, but anyway, this is going to kind of be like the first time in a while that I've actually done two consecutive uploads, like basically one day after another. So I'm going to give myself a kudos for that. But anyways, um, let's just get started right back where we left off, and we left off like right at the end of the first part of the final round. Basically, the final round is a tournament, right? So like the first round of that tournament. So now we move on to the next round, and I'm not going to do a bunch of, and like I'm not going to give a bunch of like context about like what happened between the first and second round. Like the winners just congratulated each other, the losers cried a bit about it. You know what happens. So yeah, nothing that eventful. So moving on to the next round. Here are the pairings, and we have Naruto versus Kimimaro, and then after that Itachi versus Zabuza, then Anko versus Kurotsuchi, and Yugito versus Shisui. So anyways, let's get started to Fuguki. Starting the first match. So we have Naruto versus Kimimaro, and Kimimaro was like, "How about we have an only Shikotsumyaku match today, Naruto? I know you can easily defeat me with the number of Kekkei Genkais you have, and also overall you are more skilled than me. So how about we just see who's better at our common bloodline?" And Naruto was like, "Challenge accepted." And the reason why Naruto did this was because he was also like eager to test himself against Kimimaro, and pretty much the only circumstance under which they'd have like an all-out match is in a chunin exam like this. So the only fighting allowed between them, like as per their agreement, was Shikotsumyaku based fighting and taijutsu. So yeah, the fight starts now, and as promised, I'm going to keep each fight to 2 minutes. So, anyways, Naruto and Kimimaro both push their forearm bones from their palms, like basically their ulnas. So they charge at each other simultaneously while yelling "Dance of the Willow." And Yagura got like really pissed off seeing this because like he was seeing two Shikotsumyaku users, and he was also sitting next to one who was Minato. Yeah, so he was already pretty riled up to begin with. But he kind of stays in his place and doesn't do anything because he's a Kage, and there are three other Kages there right now, and they wouldn't like take kindly to him doing such a thing, and like not such a thing, like attacking basically. So yeah, Naruto and Kimimaro like duel against each other for a bit before Kimimaro switches to Dance of the Camellia, but Naruto stays in Dance of the Willow and activates Dance of the Larch so that he can intercept Kimimaro's more like long-ranged attacks, because the bone from the shoulder to the arm is obviously twice the length. But eventually he got tired of that, and he jumped back and he held his fists out and was like, "Fist cannon." And Kimimaro tried like hard to dodge all of the fists that were aimed at him, and all of them are kind of like bombs, like paper bombs pretty much. They had the same kind of explosion, and as Kimimaro moved closer, Naruto was like, "Fist cannon, shrapnel." And now the fists that were coming out of his his fists split into fragments, and all of them like created the same kind of explosions. And this was even harder for Kimimaro, and a few of them even hit him, but only because of the dense layer of bone under his skin, he was able to stay protected. And by the way, I'm sorry I crossed 2 minutes, guys, but this is kind of going to be a long fight. Sorry I didn't like plan this part out, but Naruto versus Kimimaro has got to have some clout, right? So I hope you can forgive that. But moving on, Kimimaro activates his dance of the clematis vine and the dance of the clematis flower, and Naruto also does the same. So they kind of have a bit of a back and forth between them as they do that. However, Kimimaro is like not even able to touch Naruto, as his illness is causing him to get slightly weaker, and Naruto is also born like a lot physically stronger as well. So like Kimimaro's bones were kind of breaking against Naruto's, and at one point Naruto is able to stab Kimimaro through the shoulder, like even through the bone skin thingy, and yeah, but Kimimaro didn't want to stop fighting because he had only lost an arm, but then his other arm was still good. So he decided to activate his final ace, which was the dance of the seedling fern. So as he did that, Naruto smiled and was like, "You forgot I'm a sensory type, eh, Kimimaro?" And right as Kimimaro was about to pop out of one of the branches, the bone branch thingies that popped out of the ground, Naruto was there like in an instant, and he was holding the dance of the clematis flower against Kimimaro's neck. And by the way, if you don't know what dance of the clematis flower is basically that drill kind of thing that comes on Kimimaro's like forearm when he like it came on his forearm when he was fighting against Gara, and the vine is basically his spine. So, anyways, Kimimaro was like, that was a quick defeat, and Naruto was like, indeed, and Kimimaro was like, seems you have surpassed me, before he let out a small cough. And Naruto was like, are you alright? I mean, besides your injury. And Kimimaro was like, I'm fine, nothing to worry about. And anyways, Kimimaro just resigned, and Fuguki pronounced Naruto as a winner. But and Naruto healed Kimimaro, but Naruto was a bit suspicious about like whether Kimimaro was actually all right or not. But he decided to like leave it for like after they return to Konoha. So, anyways, for the next fight we have Itachi versus Zabuza, and yeah, Zabuza was like, "So kid, we meet again," and Itachi was like, "It seems we do." And Zabuza was like, while I don't like you very much, I do admire the way you defeated our team leader, Kisame. And Itachi was like, and then, his classic Uchiha, and Zabuza was like, not much of a talker, eh? Anyways, I've been training myself and studying the way you fight for a while now. I closely watched your match against Kisame, and I'm sure that I can beat you. But as Zabuza was saying that, he made the critical mistake of looking into Itachi's activated Sharingan eyes, and as the fight at the start of the fight was announced, Zabuza basically ran towards Itachi and flung his sword at him like a frisbee, and Itachi ducked and got behind Zabuza and was about to give him a sharp kick, but Zabuza jumped and caught his sword, and in response to this, Itachi pulled out his katana and he started fighting against Zabuza's sword, only like redirecting the sword instead of taking the blows head on, because he knew that his katana would not match up to Zabuza's sword. So, anyways, as their spar went on, Zabuza coated his sword with a water blade and was able to slice Itachi's katana in half, and was like, "See, that's what you get, kid, for being so overconfident." And as Itachi was just about to again, Zabuza just took his sword and like sliced through Itachi, and he thought that the match was over, but then Itachi turned into a flock of crows and appeared behind him, and Zabuza was like, "It can't be Genjutsu? Shit, I looked into his Sharingan." And as he quickly tried to dispel the Genjutsu, he felt hands grab at his throat, and right as he dispelled Genjutsu, Itachi pushed him into the arena wall while holding his throat, and was like, "You know something, Zabuza?" And Zabuza was just looking at him, scared that he would die. But then Itachi just leaned closer and was like, "You're weak." And he just chopped Zabuza on the back of the neck, and Zabuza lost consciousness, and Itachi won. And that was 2 minutes, and I was able to stick to the time now. Anyways, Yeah, so Itachi was pronounced as the winner, and now we have the next fight, which is Anko versus Kurotsuchi. So, anyways, as the match started, Kurotsuchi was like, so I got the civilian girl. And Anko was like, so I got the pouty princess of the stone village who has her servants wipe her royal ass with baby wipes all the time. And Kurotsuchi got pretty pissed at this and she was like, you will fall prey to my Yoton Jutsu. And Anko, seeing an opportunity in how easy it was to rile Kurotsuchi up, held her middle fingers up at Kurotsuchi and was like, Earth style, fuck you, Jutsu. And she used her earth manipulation to manipulate the rocks around her into middle finger shaped bullets and basically directed all of them at Kurotsuchi, causing the entire stadium and even Onoki to laugh a bit. And Kurotsuchi was like, how dare you! I won't take this mockery! And she put her hands together and was like corrosion style, a quick lime, and she basically spewed out a huge amount of quick lime out of her mouth and kind of like was able to stop the middle finger shaped bullets that were approaching her. And she turned to see Anko shaking her butt to mock her, and Anko was like basically Anko told Kurotsuchi, wow, that's quite a load you spit out, keep it up and you'd be the sperm bank's top donor. And Kurotsuchi, this time, instead of getting even more pissed at Anko, was like, wait a second, how do you even know about all this stuff? You're like 8. And Anko was like, my teammates and a bit of personal research here and there. And Kurotsuchi was pretty grossed out by this, and her face expressed her disgust. But just as Kurotsuchi was distracted, Anko launched a fire dragon at her, which Kurotsuchi couldn't dodge in time, and she tried to create an earth wall, but then it crumbled down and she got pretty burned. And Fuguki announced Anko as the winner of the match between her and Kurotsuchi. And Kurotsuchi basically she couldn't really move much because of the burns, but she was cursing herself because of how easily she let herself get riled up. But yeah, that's what happened. So anyways, Naruto and Itachi congratulated Anko while telling her how funny her match was. But anyways, yeah. So next we have uh, Yugito versus Shisui. So this fight starts, and Yugito uses her two tails nails, and Shisui uses his Tanto, and they kind of fight with like that Kenjutsu kind of thing in the first part of the match. Before Shisui starts teleporting, and Yugito uses her two tails blue fire to kind of like spray the blue fire all over the arena to kind of stop Shisui in his tracks. But Shisui just went underground and did the hiding in the mole jutsu to get right underneath Yugito in order to pull her into the ground. But Yugito obviously sensed him coming, but and she jumped away right before his hands emerged from the ground. And this was when Shisui activated his Sharingan, and the fight became much more one-sided. And Yugito realized that she needed to use her Tail Beast Chakra, so she used a tail's worth of the Two Tails Chakra, and the fighting kind of evened out again. But somehow, in a way that Yugito didn't understand, Shisui was able to make the projections of himself all over the battlefield, actual copies of him without using the Shadow Clone Jutsu, and he was able to attack her. And the fight was again tipping towards Shisui's favor, and Yugito decided that she had no choice now but to go full tail beast mode, and she released her second tail and she transformed into the two tails. And Shisui was like, I guess I have no choice but to go all out as well. And Yugito was absolutely incredulous that Shisui didn't go all out yet. But anyways, Shisui activated his Mangekyo Sharingan and was like, Susanoo! And his massive armored Susanoo formed around him, and Yugito was absolutely shocked at the amount of power that Shisui already had before he was even a chunin. And she felt that after this match he would get promoted straight to jonin. But yeah, Shisui Susanoo formed and started shooting massive chakra bullets at her towards Yugito that exploded on the Two Tails' body, and Yugito kind of hissed in pain, but she could continue fighting, and she kind of wrestled with the Susanoo, like she ran towards it and like wrestled with it, trying to push it to the ground and make it unstable. But the Susanoo didn't budge, and instead it used its massive sword to cut like one of the Two Tails' arms off. And this fighting continued on until Yugito lost all of her chakra, and Shisui was also almost out of chakra, but then he was able to hold out for longer than Yugito, and he ended up winning the match. And anyways, after he was announced the winner, Naruto, seeing this technique, was like, I never knew that the Uchihas possessed such a technique. This could be extremely useful. Perhaps I can replicate it with my Shikotsumyaku. And he put that thought aside for later, so that he could train for accomplishing such a thing later. But yeah, so anyways, after this we kind of have the next round, which is going to be the semifinals, which is going to be Naruto versus Shisui and Itachi versus Anko. And I'm pretty sure you know who is going to win both of these matches and what the final match would be. But anyways, I will still cover the fights, and hopefully I can finish this part before the 25-minute mark. But anyways, first is Naruto versus Shisui, and obviously they take like a 1 hour break where Shisui kind of recuperates his lost chakra and kind of rests his eyes a bit, and Naruto just has some water and some food, but and like he uses his natural his sage techniques to like kind of you know get some like nutrition. I can't even like call it eating, but anyways, once they're all fed and watered, they start the match, Naruto versus Shisui. So the first part of the match, it's a lot like Shisui versus Yugito, except instead of using claws, Naruto uses his Shikotsumyaku, and Shisui uses his Tonto. But after a while, they start doing a ninjutsu fight, like the standard stuff. Naruto, uses a water dragon to counter Shisui's fireball, and afterwards, he does a wind style pressure damage, which Shisui neutralizes with his Fire Phoenix Jutsu, and afterwards Naruto does a Fire Style Searing Migraine, and Shisui counters by creating a water encampment wall, stuff like that. But then once Naruto starts using his bloodlines, like his elemental bloodlines, like he uses his Swift Release to increase his speed, as well as his Boil Release to increase his speed and strength. So he's like extremely fast right now, and Shisui has to use a 3 Tomoe Sharingan to even like see him. But yeah, Shisui still like was managing, but then it was kind of starting to tip in Naruto's favor. So Shisui, called out his trump card, which was the Susanoo, which Naruto didn't know how to counter yet, but he knew that seeing how tired Shisui was after his fight with Yugito, the fight now was going to be a battle of attrition, which Naruto knew he could beat Shisui in. He just shouldn't get taken out by the Susanoo before lasting long enough in the battle. So whenever Shisui launched any attacks with him, Naruto retaliated with equal force, just enough to neutralize any of the attacks that Shisui was sending against him. And even with when Shisui started using the sword, when he did that, Naruto kind of came up with a new move he could do with his Shikotsumyaku mid battle, and this was a dance of the chestnut shell, and this would be basically him pushing his interior bone wall, or like that layer of bone that protected him, to the outside and thickening it, to create like an armor type thing around him. And the Susanoo sword kind of cracked it a bit and injured Naruto slightly, but he was still fine. But he still didn't know how to counter Shisui's Susanoo sword. But he was able to see that Shisui was losing stamina quickly, so he decided that if he found a way to counter that sword, he would be fine. But then that's when Naruto remembered that he had summonings. So he had a summoning jutsu. And sorry, not a summoning jutsu, his sage mode. So he basically went into the sage mode, and his physical speed, strength, and stamina all increased exponentially with the sage mode. And he knew he could like kind of empower his Shikotsumyaku using his sage mode and make the bones a lot stronger. So he recreated his chestnut shell, and he used Tsunade's strength technique to, with all his might, try to break Shisui's Susanoo, or at least his sword if he could, by punching it. And he was able to crack the Susanoo a little bit, but not enough. So he went for the sword, and he was able to break the sword. And by now, Shisui had already lost way too much chakra, and he was at dangerous levels of chakra, and like about to collapse. But Naruto pressed him on until Shisui like collapsed from exhaustion, and Naruto was declared as a winner. So yeah, next we have Itachi versus Anko. So by the way, Itachi and Anko were both like really surprised to see Naruto's Sage mode, which was kind of his like ace in the hole kind of thing. But anyways, like it when the fight started between Itachi and Anko, like Itachi tried to put Anko under Genjutsu like first, but then Anko was like, "Nice try, Itachi," before quickly dispelling it. And since Anko is only like trained enough in Genjutsu to dispel Itachi's non-Sharingan Genjutsus, she was, extremely careful not to look into Itachi's eyes. And yeah, first they started a taijutsu match, and Anko was using her snake fist while Itachi was using his classic Uchiha interceptor style fist. And it was a pretty even battle, even with Itachi's Sharingan. Anko had improved really drastically. Like she had improved more than all of them. Like she wasn't stronger than all of them, but she had improved the most, like out of their entire team during the training break. So anyways, since they realized that they were getting nowhere with taijutsu, they kind of like went back and started a ninjutsu based battle. And Itachi was like, fire style, fire shuriken, and he basically did a phoenix flower jutsu and threw shuriken in them. And they were all heading towards Anko at extreme speeds. And Anko's like earth style, mobile core, and she kind of raised the ground that she was on to be above Itachi's. Because it was always better in a battle to have the high ground, as seen in Star Wars. But anyways, yeah, so when she was up there, and Itachi's fire shuriken hit the earth, she quickly used shadow snake hands to basically, strike Itachi from a distance. But Itachi just incinerated them with a fireball. And basically, once Itachi hopped, like while Itachi was hopping back up on the platform that Anko was on, Anko was like, ninja art, formation of 1,000 snakes. And Orochimaru could do 10,000, but Anko still didn't reach that level. So she did formation of 1,000 snakes, and all 1,000 snakes were directed towards Itachi with swords in their mouth. And Itachi was struggling to fight them off before he used his crow substitution, and substituted himself so that he was behind Anko, and made like a wooden log. Sorry, not wooden log. The crow thing in its place. And he put a lot of crows there, so the crows kind of like ate all of the snakes. And as Anko saw this, he quickly turned around to catch Itachi's katana with her kunai. And Itachi was like, "You have improved a lot, Anko. I am sad to do this, but the moment you looked into my eyes, you lost." And Anko inwardly cursed herself at the fact that she was careless enough to look into Itachi's eyes when she had specifically told herself not to, right at the start of the fight. And then she felt the cold blade of a kunai pressing against her throat, and as the genjutsu around her dispelled, and was like, "Alright, I accept defeat then." And Itachi was declared as the winner. And Anko was kind of sad because she wanted to prove herself as a strong member of the team, but then Itachi, when he saw this, he was like, "Don't beat yourself about that, Anko. You are strong. I know it, and Naruto knows it as well. You just need some more training." And Anko was like, "All right." And like as she walked back to the uh, audience, Naruto like kind of had heard their entire conversation and was like, "If it makes you feel better, you, a civilian born kunoichi, has been able to come so far as to push Itachi to that extent. You have no bloodline, and you've come from no shinobi family, and still you have trained yourself to this extent. You will be very, very strong one day, Anko." And Anko kind of blushed at the praise from Naruto and thanked him a lot, and uh, that was the end of the thing. So now we have Naruto versus Itachi, and I know I'd say, and I said I'd end this by 25 minutes, the 25-minute mark, and I did delay it, but that's kind of how things are rolling here. But anyways, next we have Naruto versus Itachi, and basically as their fight started, they quickly launched themselves at each other, and Itachi was using his katana, and he quickly started infusing it with fire chakra, and seeing this, Naruto infused his katana with lightning chakra. And while they were fighting, Itachi was like, "Naruto, for some reason your chakra feels a lot stronger, and also you look a bit different than you used to." And Naruto was like, "I'll explain later, Itachi." And Itachi was like, "Something to do with your fox summons?" And Naruto was like, "Yes." And Itachi just nodded, and as they continued fighting, and they moved on to a ninjutsu based battle. You know how that goes. It's pretty like kind of common to like most of the fights. But anyways, Naruto was extremely aware of where Itachi was looking at all times, because he knew that he could resist against genjutsus that were not created by the Sharingan, but then Sharingan genjutsus, and especially ones that were done by Itachi, were A rank plus. So if Naruto got caught in one of them, he would have to actually you know um, consciously break it. So since he didn't want that to happen, and he was already a really good sensor, he used his Shikotsumyaku to grow bones over his eyelids and close his eyes for him. And Itachi was like, "Smart tactic, using only your sensory skills to fight against me." And Naruto was like, "Hmm." And basically, a bunch of big jutsus and crow substitutions later, Naruto decided to start using his bloodlines and his sage mode, because he wanted to end this quickly, and he sent a bunch of like storm release laser circus bolts at Itachi, using which were infused with the sage mode, and Itachi tried to counter them with wind blades, and he was barely able to counter them. And he was like, so this is the boost that he got after being trained by the foxes. And he was like, "I might as well go all out now." And he started using all the techniques that he copied from Naruto against him, and at least the ones with fire and water, because his elemental manipulation in fire and water was such a level that he could copy even Naruto's sealless jutsus. And yeah, so he was able to throw them at him, but then Itachi's chakra was depleting, so he was like very strategically placing the jutsus, and Naruto was extremely impressed by this, by the way. So he created a shadow clone, and made it use his new jutsu, like his new Shikotsumyaku technique, which was Dance of the Chestnut Shell. And basically like while Itachi was distracted while fighting Naruto, the shadow clone grabbed onto Itachi from behind, and Naruto was like, "Now!" And a shadow clone basically attached, and it didn't attach anything, but then it kind of like built up chakra inside itself, and was like, "Dance of the chestnut, nutcracker, and then basically it shot out, it exploded and shot out fragments of the bone at Itachi. And Itachi had just substituted himself away, but not fast enough to avoid being pierced by several of the shrapnels. And he was like, I don't think I can continue, Naruto. And Naruto was like, it was a good fight, my friend. I hope you only get stronger from now on. And Itachi was like, you bet. And yeah, that's how Naruto won the chunin exams. And finally, the chunin exams arc has ended. Um, I'm just going to like pretty much end it by saying the entirety of Team 1 and Team 2 were promoted with the exception of Yakumo. And yeah, Naruto, Itachi, and Anko were all promoted to chunin, and Naruto's promoted to like one of the higher level chunins, like almost at like a special jonin or jonin level. And basically Shisui is promoted to directly jonin because of his Susanoo. And yeah, Danzo did like see Shisui's Mangekyo Sharingan for the first time now, but until he decides to do the Uchiha massacre, he's going to let him keep it because it would be extremely suspicious if Shisui went missing inside the village without any kind of explanation. So yeah, Minato was pretty proud of Naruto, but he didn't really like stay to congratulate him because he was busy with Natsumi, and basically he and Kushina are basically like running around and playing with her, causing Naruto to feel a slight pang of jealousy because they didn't do such a thing for him. And even now, when they were uh, stable enough, like basically their work and all of that stuff kind of calmed down a bit after the Kyuubi attack, and they were able to like have enough free time to spend with Natsumi. He was kind of jealous that they weren't spending any time with him. Like even with all of Naruto's maturity, he is still an 8-year-old child. So he was definitely a bit jealous. But yeah, and anyways, we skip to Naruto, Itachi, and Anko having celebratory ramen at Ichiraku after the Chunin exams, and Itachi sees Izumi Uchiha walking with Hana Inuzuka and Yugao Uzuki, and seeing Itachi as well, Izumi ran up to him and was like, Itachi, congratulations on your tuning exam performance. And Itachi was like, thank you, Izumi. Anyways, what are you doing here? And Izumi was like, not happy to see me, huh? And Itachi was suddenly quite flustered, but Izumi just chuckled and was like, I told you I'd make Genin too, right? And Itachi was like, he finally like saw her headband tied around her arm, and was like, congratulations, Izumi. And Izumi was like, thanks. And Naruto kind of was able to see what was going on with Izumi and Itachi, even though he wasn't able to see, Anko's reaction towards himself. And he was like, if you want to go and hang out with her, you can, like discreetly in Itachi's ear. And Itachi was like, you sure? And Naruto was like, it's okay, we can hang out any other time. And Itachi just nodded and thanked Naruto and went off with Izumi. So yeah, that's how it went. And now we time skip to basically like it's a year long time skip, and like I was planning to cover the Jonin exams as well for Naruto, Itachi, and Anko, but then it's already like kind of getting pretty late into the series, and none of the good stuff in Naruto really happened at this point in the series. So like when Naruto, Itachi, and Anko are 9, Naruto and Itachi got promoted to Jonin, while Anko got promoted to Special Jonin. And I know, guys, in canon, Itachi is actually promoted to Jonin when he's 12, but Itachi is much more of a prodigy in this one. So yeah, and because of Naruto's family kind of pushing him away a lot more, without meaning to, definitely, but they were giving Natsumi a lot more attention. And Natsumi also kind of forgot about her desire to be trained by Naruto. And like while she did definitely want to be trained, she kind of like never really asked Naruto about it. Naruto decided to join the Anbu and kind of like bide his time with the missions in order to gain more experience as a shinobi. And since Itachi's father Fugaku was also pushing for him to join the Anbu, because of the growing strife between, not strife, what do you call it? Unease between the Uchihas and the village. Like obviously Fugaku wanted an inside guy in the Anbu, so obviously their best choice was Itachi, as Shisui had already joined the Anbu when he had become a Jonin. But then, like Shisui was, you know, obviously not Fugaku's own son, and Fugaku's own son would like kind of be more loyal to Fugaku. At least that's what Fugaku thought. So yeah, that was Fugaku's mentality. And Naruto and Itachi joined the Anbu, and Anko also wanted to join the Anbu, but they kind of like didn't accept her yet, because they said she needed a bit more skill before she could join the Anbu. So she trained extremely hard for the next year until she was also able to make Jonin like Naruto and Itachi, and she also joined the Anbu. So yeah, and this is the point where Orochimaru's crimes get found out, and basically Hiruzen fails to kill him. And Naruto, since he is part of the Anbu, he knows about what's happening with his sensei. And Itachi and Anko were already at missions, and he didn't know whether Hiruzen would really make the choice of kind of allowing Orochimaru to and killing Orochimaru, or uh, kind of finding a way to subdue him or something like that, because he knew how much Hiruzen loved Orochimaru. So he decided to like follow Hiruzen to where Orochimaru was, and yeah, he pretty much went alone. And when Orochimaru got past Hiruzen, like Naruto obviously didn't want to reveal himself yet, because it would raise a lot of questions which would give Orochimaru time to escape. So he kind of like stealthily followed Orochimaru for a while before he started chasing after him. And obviously Orochimaru, being Orochimaru, was able to sense him, and he was like, "Oh ho, so it's the Fox Anbu now. How's the Anbu treating you, Naruto? You've left your poor old sensei out of the loop." And Naruto was like, "Don't resist, Orochimaru, otherwise I'm going to have to use force to take you back." And Orochimaru was like, "Oh ho, so you think you can defeat me?" And Naruto just remained silent. And by the way, guys, over these 2 years, Naruto learned several more Shikotsumyaku moves, and he also learned, how to wield the staff from Hiruzen, like that the bow staff that Hiruzen uses against Orochimaru in this fight. That same thing, but then except he makes it with his femur bone. Um, and it's called Dance of the Birch. And he learns many more Shikotsumyaku, arts or whatever moves, whatever you want to call them. But and he also learns a lot more elemental ninjutsu, and he fully integrates his taijutsu styles. And yeah, that's what happens. I'm gonna basically reveal them to you as the story progresses. So, anyways, Naruto and Orochimaru started fighting. First, it was just basic taijutsu, and Naruto was basically using his newly formulated taijutsu, but he still obviously didn't have as much experience as Orochimaru did. And since Orochimaru had a naturally, bendy body, Naruto was not able to exploit his weaknesses as the weaknesses in his snake stance, as well as he would have like with Anko. So it was a kind of like equal taijutsu fight. And then afterwards he started using ninjutsu. Like Orochimaru started using these huge wind style jutsus, And Naruto also was using extremely large fire style jutsus and earth and lightning. The whole package pretty much. So yeah, and Orochimaru was like, I'm impressed with how far my student has come. In fact, you'd make a perfect vessel for me. And Naruto just frowned at Orochimaru, and he pulled out a bone, and he was like, "Don't mess with me, Orochimaru. Dance of the Camellia." And he basically started like using the long bone as a sword, and Orochimaru pulled out his Kusanagi sword, and like out of his mouth, which is pretty disgusting. But Naruto's pretty used to it by now, and he started fighting Naruto. But Naruto's the problem was that Naruto's bones started breaking even if he infused them with chakra, and Orochimaru was like, "That's why you're not supposed to fight against the Kusanagi sword, Naruto. Did you forget about its abilities? It can cut through anything." And Naruto just frowned as that would make things difficult for him. But then an idea struck him. He could use one of his new Shikotsumyaku moves, and he basically started like fighting Orochimaru with taijutsu again. And Orochimaru tried to attack him with a sword, but Naruto kept dodging. But except like during his taijutsu, bones came out of his hands unpredictably and struck Orochimaru, cutting him a few times. And Naruto was like, "Dance with the passion flower," and Orochimaru was like, "Oh wow, Naruto, your creativity is nothing that has been seen before. You'd make a good assistant for me." And Naruto was like, "Never going to happen, Orochimaru." And Orochimaru was like, "Oh, feeling a bit feisty now, are we?" And Naruto just was remained quiet, and he used his Kekkei Genkai against like his elemental Kekkei Genkai against Orochimaru. But Orochimaru kept pulling mud substitutions, as even though Naruto had a lot of chakra, his jutsus were not fast enough to reach Orochimaru. And the battle continued on until Naruto felt a squelch in his shoulder, and he turned around to see Orochimaru had pierced his shoulder with the Kusanagi sword, or at least like the arm near his shoulder. And Orochimaru was like, "And that is why you pretty boy prodigies should not gain so much arrogance. You actually thought you could defeat me, huh, Naruto?" And Naruto just growled as Orochimaru walked away. But Naruto had other things to worry about than Orochimaru. He looked at the wound in his arm and he saw that it was the dead cells were spreading. And Orochimaru turned towards Naruto and he was like, "Oh, and Naruto, by the way, if you couldn't remember this as well, the Kusanagi sword is coated with a necrotic poison. It cannot be healed." And Naruto just growled at Orochimaru in threat, but Orochimaru just laughed and body flickered away. And now Naruto had no choice left but to cut his arm off before the poison spread too much. And he basically coated his left arm with Chidori, and he is right-handed by the way. He got stabbed in his right arm, and he used the Chidori to slice off his infected arm the same way the Raikage sliced off his left arm, which had Amaterasu on it, or whichever arm it was. And as he did that, Naruto let out a pained grunt in pain, in like obvious pain, because like he was literally cutting his own arm off. And he used his he coated his left hand in mystical palm in order to heal the stump of his right arm. And in order to be able to like use some semblance of a right arm again, he grew his bones into the shape that he remembered, shape of his arm that he remembered, through his shoulder joint. And he was able to create an exact replica of the bones in his left arm that used to be in his right arm basically. And he couldn't really do much more than that. So he got to his feet, and he he quickly went towards the hospital, like body flickering all the way, and he went to like he like admitted himself into the hospital room. So, as soon as he entered the hospital, the receptionist was like, "Oh my God, Uzumaki-sama, what happened to you?" And Naruto was like, "Please cut the honorifics. But as you can see, I need someone to heal my arm." And he demonstratively like waved his bony arm around, which is basically just his bones. And the receptionist was like, "All right, I'll bring you to Tsunade." And Naruto was like, "Is she free now?" And the receptionist was like, "Fortunately, yes, she is." And Naruto was like, "All right then." And he followed her towards Tsunade's office. And the nurse called out to Tsunade, and she was like, "Tsunade-sama, something happened to Uzumaki-san's arm." And Tsunade was like, she took a closer look at Naruto and was like, "What happened to you?" And Naruto was like, "I'll explain later. First, please heal my arm." And after several, uh, examinations, Tsunade was like, "I'm sorry, Naruto, but I cannot grow your arm back." And Naruto's like, "Why?" And Tsunade was like, "Despite my medical prowess, I cannot regenerate lost body parts. I'm sorry, Naruto, but your arm is gone for good now." And Naruto's like, so I see I paid the price for my hubris." And Tsunade was like, "What do you mean?" And Naruto told Tsunade exactly what happened between him and Orochimaru before, Orochimaru escaped. And Tsunade was like, "Naruto, are you out of your mind? You are only a fresh Jonin, and Orochimaru is a Kage level fighter. He can probably even take on multiple Kages." And Naruto was like, "I know, it was my mistake. I felt that I was capable of handling him." And Tsunade was like, "Honestly, Naruto, the Sanin are given their titles for a reason. What am I going to tell your parents?" And Naruto was like, I don't know, but I know that was quite reckless of me. Is there any way I can get a prosthetic?" And Tsunade was like, "We can make one, but it won't be a functional prosthetic. We still don't have that type of technology right now." And Naruto was like, what about a prosthetic that I can force to move with my bone release?" And Tsunade was like, I suppose that could work. Why? What did you have in mind?" And Naruto was like, "I was thinking something similar to a gauntlet with metal plates that are capable of moving like human joints." And Tsunade was like, "That could work, and you could get a quality gauntlet like that made in Iron Country." Fine, I'll tell my parents about my injury and request for a temporary leave to Iron Country." And Tsunade was like, "Alright then, that's the best course of action." And Naruto nodded and just like body flickered away. Yeah, so anyways, Naruto made his way back to his house, and he opened the door to see um, a Kushina putting Natsume to sleep. And Kushina was like, "Shh, she's gonna sleep." And Naruto was like, She's already 5, mother." And Kushina was like, "But still, she's my baby. I don't want her to grow up so soon." And Naruto felt a small twinge of jealousy at this, and he felt that it wasn't really like worth trying to get his mother's attention to his wound. And obviously, not his wound, his injury. And the fact that by now Kushina didn't even notice Naruto's missing arm, it kind of spoke volumes to Naruto on how much attention that she gave him. And Naruto decided, like, just to leave her out of the loop pretty much. And he was like, "I'm going to Iron Country for 5 days." And Kushina was like, "Oh, new mission." And Naruto was like, "Mm-hmm." And Kushina was like, "What's it about?" And Naruto was like, "Sorry, this is a covert one, Anbu and all that." And Kushina was like, "Right, right, of course, go ahead." And Naruto went, and Kushina was like, there was something strange about him. He never talks like that. But then she just shook her head and thought that he was just, jittery because of the, not jittery, like nervous because of the mission or something like that. Even though like she knew he never got nervous, and he rarely ever got nervous. It was just kind of an excuse she told herself. So, anyways, Naruto went to Iron Country, and I won't really go into the details here. But 5 days later, he came back with a prosthetic metal arm, which was kind of a bit like a gauntlet made of chakra metal, and he spent a lot of his Anbu money on it, and he was able to like use his the bones that he put in his arm in to move the gauntlet. However, the downside was that he couldn't like push his bones through the gauntlet like how he could with his regular skin. However, there was one plus side as well, which was that he could punch harder with a metal gauntlet, as it was much more durable than his fist. And especially if he charged it with chakra to create a Tsunade style punch. Because early on, Naruto discovered something strange about his body, which was that his body didn't have a chakra system, but chakra basically freely flowed throughout his body, and this caused him to be like able to use the chakra conductive metal to release even jutsus from it. So yeah, it was a pretty good prosthetic, and once he came back, Itachi has still not returned from his 1 month long surveillance mission, but he had found out that Anko had gone missing, and he strongly suspected Orochimaru and Naruto. This is the first time that Naruto got extremely pissed at someone, and Naruto swore to never stop training or searching until he found Anko, and like obviously he'd take breaks to eat and drink and sleep and stuff. And wait, what the hell? I forgot. And he uses Sage Mode to do that. So no training breaks pretty much. He trains pretty much. He's gonna like start training pretty much all day, except when he's on missions, and he's even like going to start training with and finish his Sage Mode training with the foxes, and hone his taijutsu to extreme levels. He also realized that due to the increased caliber of fighting at his level, he had not been using Fuinjutsu much anymore. So he started practicing that even more than he used to, in order to make it more battle ready. He also started learning Yin and Yang release, in order to use Yin to like hone his Genjutsu to the maximum level, and use Yang release to give a major boost to all of his physical attacks and his ninjutsu. And guys, by the way, all of this happens in the span of 2 years, and sorry, not 2 years, of 3 years. So yeah, Naruto is doing all this, and he learns several new Shikotsumyaku moves, and he finally perfects the Shikotsumyaku Susano thing, and that is called Dance of the Oak. And he obviously mastered several other moves with his Shikotsumyaku other than that, and he also honed his elemental manipulation to the maximum level, and now he could create infinite numbers of shadow clones, but then he limited himself to 5,000, as the mental and physical strain of training with more than that was detrimental to him. And like during these 3 years, he had never spoken to the Kyuubi even once, and the Kyuubi never tried to make contact with him. But remembering that the Kyuubi was had also made his threat, and Natsumi was also in danger, only reinforced his desire to train harder. So yeah, for these 3 years, Naruto trained uh, ridiculously, and his father, who was the Hokage, just gave him missions without ever realizing that Naruto wasn't coming home or coming for dinner. It was almost as if he just forgot about him, and Natsumi was more interested in finding a friend to play with than training, which kind of made Naruto. not really want to offer to train her. And this was obviously because Naruto believed that training would only be effective if the person in question wanted to train. Also, during this time on one of Naruto's missions, he saw two Akatsuki members. Obviously, he didn't know that they were Akatsuki members, but then um, he heard them talking about them wanting to capture the tailed beasts, and this duo was obviously Hidan and Kakuzu, because Hidan keeps babbling everything out, like, I'll sacrifice the Jinchuriki, Jashin Sama, all that crap. So at this point, Naruto realized that his sister was in danger, and people were after her, and he needed to find a way to protect her. He didn't know how long this group would take to make its move, and he didn't. And this caused him to not decide on teaching Natsumi, as he doubted that an 8-year-old girl could do much in like 1 or 2 years of training. And he was able to sense the power from Kakuzu, and it was a very high level of power. And if there are others in that organization who are like this, then it would be extremely dangerous. And Naruto was absolutely appalled that till now his parents still didn't notice his artificial limb, and like especially his dad, because he saw Minato every like now and then when he was taking missions. But yeah, Minato never like was able to see it, like see that his son's arm was prosthetic, and yeah. So during this time, obviously Natsumi started attending the academy, and the unrest between the Uchiha clan and the village was increasing a lot, and this was around the time when the Uchiha clan was massacred. I mean, it's not that time in this story yet. I mean, it's gonna come like very very soon. And Naruto noticed this growing unrest that the Uchihas, um, like of the Uchihas, because he was able to see that whenever he tried to visit Itachi, Fugaku would open the door and quickly, wave him away, giving some excuse like, they're busy or something like that. And obviously, Fugaku couldn't try to kill Naruto because, first of all, he wasn't sure if he could anymore, and second of all, even if he did manage to kill him, like killing the Hokage's son this early on, while their plan was still, you know, uh, not in effect, it would kind of like cause the village to immediately smite them instead of them being able to quickly like form a coup d'etat plan and going ahead with it. So yeah, they obviously Fugaku didn't try to hurt Naruto. So anyways, Minato called a meeting between the top Anbu like officials, like top Anbu pretty much, and Naruto and Itachi were there as well, and Shisui was also there, and of course Danzo was also there, and basically Itachi and Shisui were the only ranking Uchihas in the Anbu force, because the rest of them worked in the police force. So yeah, the Anbu were all like this group of Anbu was briefed by Minato about the situations with the Uchihas. And they knew that the Uchihas were planning something against the village, and Shisui was like, "I'll convince Fugaku to stop his plans using my Sharingan." And Minato was like, "But Shisui, only the Mangekyo Sharingan is capable of doing that." And Shisui was like, "And I have it. I can use Koto Amatsukami. Did you not remember my match in the chunin exams?" And Minato was like, "Ah, yes, my apologies. But are you okay deceiving your own clan like that?" And Shisui was like, "If it's for the good of the village and the Uchiha clan, then who am I to refuse to do it?" And Naruto saw the look that Danzo was giving Shisui after he said this, and he was thinking in his head, seems Danzo is planning something. And he decided to follow Shisui later in order to like keep him safe from anything that Danzo might do against him. So, anyways, after the meeting ended, Naruto saw Danzo discreetly say something to Shisui, and he was using his enhanced sage hearing, but Danzo was so calculative and cautious that even with Naruto's senjutsu enhanced hearing, he was still not able to hear what Danzo was trying to say. Um, but then Shisui nodded, and the meeting ended. So Naruto like kept his distance from Shisui, but then he followed him around to see where he would go, and he went to the meeting spot where Danzo was located, and where Danzo had called him. And as Shisui walked in the area, Naruto noticed something odd immediately. He expanded his senses, and he was able to see sense Aburame clan poisonous insects that had went inside Shisui's body. And Naruto was like, oh no. And he quickly used his lightning manipulation to kill all the insects around that area, the Aburame clan insects. And he was like, Shisui, Danzo got you. And Shisui was like, eh? And right as he turned, Danzo was about to make a move on his move for his eye, but Naruto quickly kicked him aside before he could do such a thing. And all of the root Anbu that were designated to attack Shisui popped out, and Danzo was like, kill him. And Naruto was like, hold on. And he quickly created a Chidori and killed the Aburame who had injected his bugs inside Shisui, because he didn't want Shisui to be further poisoned by him, because since Shisui was not able to notice the bugs before, there was no guarantee that he wouldn't notice them later. And so anyways, Naruto killed that guy, and Danzo was like, why you, Uzumaki, I should have had you killed. And Naruto was like, whatever, you're just some stupid old crone who destroys the village by trying to protect it. And Danzo was like, enough. He was like, enough. I'm an elder of this village. You shall give me respect. And Naruto was like, why? Because you're old. And Danzo was like, seems like I'll have to take care of you now. And Naruto was like, you can try. So anyways, while Naruto and Danzo were fighting, Shisui was fighting the Anbu, and he was kind of in the same situation where he had to go Susano. And once he had run out of stamina, especially because of the bugs that had entered his system, the Anbu were gaining on him. And Naruto noticed this, and but so did Danzo. And Danzo aimed an attack straight at Shisui, and Naruto was like, crap. And since Shisui was pretty injured, he didn't want to risk Shisui's life anymore, and he picked up Shisui and body flickered away. And Danzo was like, no, I should have gotten my hands on that Mangekyo Sharingan. But anyways, since Naruto had no proof of what Danzo did, he couldn't try to convict him either. So Naruto was just like um, having like Shisui over there. Like he was just like trying to see if he could find a way to heal him. And like after a few minutes, Itachi body flickered there as well, and he saw Naruto holding Shisui's weakening body, and he was like, Naruto, Shisui, what's happening? And Naruto was like, this fool made an agreement with Danzo of all people, and now he's going to get himself killed because of it. And Shisui was like, I'm sorry about this, Itachi, but come with me. I know where we can find a healer who can remove the bugs. And Naruto was like, isn't Tsunade good enough? And Shisui was like, my body is ailing too fast. We won't make it so far in time. And Naruto was like, And then Itachi was like, quick, Naruto, let's go where Shisui is asking us to go. And Naruto was like, alright. And but Naruto still had his suspicions about like who this doctor that or whoever this person Shisui was talking about was. And you know he narrowed his eyes at Shisui, but Itachi followed Shisui dutifully. And Shisui led them to the edge of a cliff. And he was like, I'm going to go now, Itachi, please don't stop me. And Itachi was like, Shisui, but we can still find a way to heal you. And Shisui was like, no, Itachi, even if you bring me to a healer, it's already too late. And he, took both of his hands and, dug his eyeballs out. And he was like, take these as a parting gift. You'll need them for what's coming up now. And Itachi just, wordlessly took them and put them in that, little jar with the fluid. And Shisui was like, now, Itachi, if you're my friend, don't stop me. You too, Naruto. And he jumped off, and Naruto saw Itachi cry as Shisui jumped off. And he also felt really bad about not doing anything and going along with Itachi. Um, but yeah, he made the mistake of not being close enough to where Shisui was to be able to sense those little bugs of the Aburame clan. So he did blame himself, and he looked as Itachi turned towards him and stopped rubbing his eyes as he opened them to reveal his Mangekyo Sharingan. And Naruto was absolutely shocked, even though it made sense because, like, obviously Shisui was like Itachi's brother, and he died, and obviously Itachi would get the Mangekyo Sharingan, but still, seeing it actually happen was really shocking to Naruto. Naruto himself was also quite close to Shisui, and he also felt a few tears slide down his eyes. And while Naruto had never yet experienced the death of a loved one, watching Shisui die was extremely painful for him, and he couldn't imagine how painful it was for Itachi. And Naruto was also thankful that he wasn't an Uchiha who would have to gain power in this way. And yeah, so that's how it is. And Naruto waited for Itachi to stop crying before asking Itachi, so you know what happened to you, right? And Itachi was like, of course, because Shisui died, I got my Mangekyo Sharingan. And Naruto was like, correct. And you do know that that overuse of the Mangekyo Sharingan will make you go blind, right? And Itachi was like, I do. And Naruto was like, so do you want me to transplant Shisui's eyes into you now? And Itachi was like, can you? And Naruto was like, I can. I do know some medical ninjutsu. Unfortunately, it was not enough to heal Shisui when he needed it. And Itachi was like, Itachi was kind of pissed for at Naruto for not, bringing Shisui to the hospital immediately. And Naruto saw this and he was like, Itachi, I know why you're looking at me like that, but uh, I promise I'll explain everything that happened to you later. And Itachi was like, how about you explain now? And then you transplant the eyes. And I will be getting the transplant anyway. Because the eyes are all I have left of Shisui. And Naruto was like, of course. And he told Itachi the entire story of what happened to Shisui. And Itachi's mind was blown, and he was pretty much like absolutely shocked that a village elder would do such a thing. And like he always knew that Danzo kind of acted a bit suspicious, but then he never really like read too deep into his actions. And all Itachi knew that he was not to trust Danzo. But anyways, once Itachi recovered from the shock, Naruto transplanted his eyes, and Naruto was like, "So now you will be able to use Koto Amatsukami and stop the coup d'état, right?" And Itachi was like, "Unfortunately, Shisui's idea would not be very effective. The Koto Amatsukami jutsu can only work on one person at a time, and it takes 10 years to recharge. So Koto Matsukami is not an option, as if I use it on my father, the remaining members of the clan who are distressed will continue to rebel." And Naruto was like, so are you saying that the only course of action is to... And Itachi was like, yes, to kill them. I know all of my clan members who are taking part in this coup d'état, and I can submit a list to the Anbu. And Naruto was like, "Are you sure you will be alright killing your father?" And Itachi was like, "If it's necessary for the village, then I must do it." And Naruto was like, "I'm so sorry that you have to do this, Itachi. If you want, I can come along as well for moral support." And Itachi was like, "That would be nice. Or should I say, relatively nice. There's nothing nice about having to kill your family." And Naruto was like, "Agreed." And Naruto and Itachi walked, and Itachi was obviously blindfolded because of the uh, the operation, pretty much like the transplant of Shisui's Mangekyo Sharingan into his own, like the combining that was like taking place. So he was like just using his sensory abilities to walk, and they both went to a small cave that they found in the middle of that Naruto had found in the middle of Konoha's woods, and he was staying there to do his training, and not really like going home. And like he already had all his clothes, and he would like wash them at a river that was like right outside the cave. So yeah, he helped Itachi rest there, and he also used medical ninjutsu to like heal Itachi's eyes as they in order to supplement their natural healing. And by 2 days, Itachi's new eyes were in place. So and not new eyes, his like combined eyes. So Naruto was like, "All right, should we give the report now?" And Itachi was like, "We should." So anyways, they gave the report, and Minato was like, "All right, I am authorizing this mission for you two. However, keep in mind that a lot of the people that you have mentioned here have families, and if they get in the way, please do not injure them. Once these traitors are purged, we will explain the situation to them." And Naruto and Itachi nodded, and Minato was like, "Wait a second, which one of you will take the blame for this?" And Itachi was like, "I will. It'll be more believable that way. I'll just claim to be testing my abilities by fighting against the stronger members of my clan." And Minato was like, "You know that you will have to flee the village after you do this, right?" And Itachi was like, "I do, and I have a plan. I will discuss it with you in detail after the massacre is complete." And Minato was like, "Very well then. Both of you can head off now." So anyways, they both murdered the Uchiha clan, and like basically Naruto did whatever Obito did in canon. Like he killed the same people, except he didn't kill Izumi. So like yeah, and the same interaction happened between Itachi and Sasuke, except like since Mikoto was not home at the time, Sasuke only saw his father's dead body, and he had the same conversation with Itachi. And obviously, when Sasuke asked whether his mother was dead too, Itachi was like, "She would have been if she was here today," and trying to foster that hatred pretty much. So after all was said and done, Naruto and Itachi showed back up to Minato's office, and kneeled down, and Naruto was like, "Mission complete, Lord Hokage." And Minato felt a slight twinge of sadness when he heard Naruto address him so unemotionally, but he just shrugged it off because it was Anbu protocol, and he was like, "Report." And they all told him about the details of what happened, and Itachi was like, "Now, as for my plans, after I leave the village, I plan to join this mercenary group called the Akatsuki. They seem to pose a threat to this village." And Minato's like, "Very well then. I trust you shall send reports about this Akatsuki group from time to time." And Itachi was like, "I will." And Minato was like, "I wish you the best, Itachi. You have my blessings. You may leave now." And Itachi was like, "Thank you, Lord Hokage." And like he left the room, and Naruto was still there, and he was like, "May I leave, Lord Hokage?" And Minato was like, "Yes, you're dismissed." And Naruto left as well. And Naruto decided to take a small, sorry, take a training trip where he would help, like, convince people from across the Shinobi nations to ally against the Akatsuki, in order to combat it when once it becomes too much of a threat. And Itachi obviously explained to Naruto what Akatsuki was, and Naruto told him about the tail beast thing, and they were like able to connect the dots. So yeah, and Naruto is also planning to make his own secret organization with a bunch of really strong ninjas from across the shinobi world, the elemental nations, like in order to combat the Akatsuki. So yeah, that was his plan, and he was just thinking about it as he left the room. And Naruto decided to visit Kimimaro as he hadn't visited him in a while. And the last time he visited him, Kimimaro was in a really, really bad state. So Naruto hoped that whatever treatments that Tsunade was giving him were helping him get better. So he knocked on the door to like see Tsunade open it, and he was like, "Tsunade, you're already here. What's going on?" And Tsunade was like, "I'm afraid his condition is worsening. I cannot treat it. There's some sort of discrepancy between his chakra and his bloodline, which is causing him to give an autoimmune response." And Naruto was like, "Wait, his bloodline? That I also have that same bloodline. Can that issue happen to me as well?" And Tsunade was like, "I don't think so. I believe that since your chakra levels are extremely high, you can support the bloodline of Shikotsumyaku." And Naruto was like, What about father?" And Tsunade was like, "I'm afraid his days are numbered." And this caused Naruto to droop his head sadly, and he was like, "Please, Tsunade, give both of them treatment to extend their lives as much as possible." And Tsunade was like, "I'll try my best, Naruto, but I can't promise anything." And Naruto just gave a shaky nod. And yeah, so we fast forward about a few months until Kimimaro finally dies because of his illness. And Naruto is kneeling beside his corpse, and he was like, "So this is what it feels like to be helpless as one of your precious people dies." No wonder Itachi reacted the way he did that time. And this is when he finally decided to leave the village, to gain some closure and start with his idea of creating his own organization. So he tells Minato and Kushina that he is going on not a time skip, a training journey for 5 years, and he would return when he's 18. And Kushina was really sad because she realized that she failed to spend so much time with him, and Minato was also pretty sad because of this. And Kushina was like, "Do you have to leave the village? You can stay in the Leaf Village and continue your training." And Naruto was like, "Not really, I can't. I have to gain more experience. And while I get plenty of experience from being an Anbu ninja, I want to train in different countries, in different shinobi nations with different environments, to acclimatize my body to the different physical, to different environmental conditions. I also want to travel around the shinobi nations to create better connections with important people from the other nations." And Minato was like, "You bring very good points, son, but isn't 13 a bit too young for this?" And Naruto was like, "Technically, once you graduate the academy, for all practical purposes, you're an adult. So it's never too early to gain more experience in the field." And Minato was like, "Well, I can't argue with that. Just make sure you remain safe on your training trip." And Naruto was like, "I will." And Natsumi also hugged him and was like, "I'll miss you, big brother." And Naruto was like, "Ah, little Natsumi, you have grown so much taller. You have finally come to my chest. I'm sure you'll become strong by the time I come back. And I will miss you as well." And Natsumi was like, You bet I will become strong. I'll become stronger than even you, big brother. And Naruto was like, we shall see, we shall see. Anyways, I'll be off now. And he left the village. So yeah, that's where I'll be leaving this part, guys. I know it didn't go till the part where he finally becomes the sensei of Natsumi, but it's pretty damn close. So you gotta give me a few props for that. But anyways, yeah, it's already an overly long video, and I've ended here. Um, so yeah, if you like this part, please give me a like, and share my videos and my channel with other people, and feel free to comment down your thoughts on this video and your thoughts on this what if, and your ideas for future what ifs that I can do on my channel. And thanks for watching, guys.